Kenwood start coming up, and I had the honor to be at Kenwood today during our weather, and I have to say they did a remarkable job when that went through. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, Mr. Swords, for setting the bar so high for me here. I feel like I have to adapt mine into a musical format somewhat, Kenwood the musical. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. I also want to echo Mr. Swords' comments about the SAM conference. Thank you so much for supporting that. That was, again, I've been in education for a little longer than Mr. Swords, but I do agree it's probably one of the best PDs I've ever had. I was able to bring back things to use like right from day one. So thank you so much, board, for supporting that. Tonight, I'm here to talk about the great things at Kenwood, and very excited about that. Very humbled and honored to do that. And I wanted to start actually just by recognizing my Kenwood family that came here tonight. So if you want to stand up real quickly, thank you so much for being here. So we have a number of committees that we use to sort of direct our work for our school improvement plan. And you see the names of some of the people on there. First of all, I want to recognize Mrs. T, my assistant principal, who was so helpful today with all of the tornado fun stuff that happened today. Also, we have our equity team that is led by Miss Emily Kuchenbrod, who is our music teacher here at Kenwood. We have our social emotional learning committee that is directed by Mrs. Ellen Schultz, who is our social worker, who's also here tonight. We also have our teaching and learning teams. We have a K2 and a 3-5, and those are led by Ms. Sarah Zillis, who is our instructional coach at Kenwood, and then Ms. Kayla Bishop, who's our 5th grade teacher at Kenwood. And then finally, we have our technology team that is led by Ms. Tabitha Dunn, and I also want to shout out to her because she was nominated as the Illinois Digital Educator of the Year. Rocking it, yeah. Okay, so one of the things, well, first of all, I did want to point out that we are the Kenwood Superstars. And I know that's confusing because I believe Southside is also the Superstars, but there's lots of room in this galaxy for stars, so lots of opportunities to shine. Our focus this year has been on critical thinking. So you can see our learning focus statement up there. And that is something that we've worked with our focus schools to develop. And then our student-friendly focus statement, and I actually brought the T-shirt. I was going to wear it tonight, but it's right there, and it says, "We are stars. We can show what we know, supportive of others, thinkers, active in learning, respectful, and solving problems." So that's something that we're obviously promoting. So I wanted to start by sharing some of the celebrations that we've had in the last year. So during our IR testing from last year, we noticed that all of our students, particularly with reading or ELA, had 69% growth compared to 50% of the state. Our black students had 58.2% growth compared to the 44.9% of the state. And then finally, our low-income students also demonstrated 64% growth compared to 46.5% of the state. So we were pretty proud of the growth that we've shown with our students. We recognize that we still have a long way to go, but we feel like we're going in the right direction. The other thing I did want to share is related to our panorama data, and more specifically, growth mindset. You heard Mr. Swords talking a little bit about this, but it's kind of the idea of being able to, go further, or you don't have the fixed mindset. And our students demonstrated skills near the 90th percentile compared to other schools nationally. One area that has been an area of focus for us has been the area of self-efficacy. And that, if you think about it, it's like the statement, "I can do hard things." So being able to be successful academically. This year, we set a goal. That was our goal, and we were able to increase from fall to winter. So we actually met our goal in that area. And then self-management is an area that is definitely an opportunity for growth for us, maybe even for myself today a little bit during the tornadoes, but we're good. So our equity team, I will say this, we do appreciate all the support from the district as we've gone through our equity initiatives. And so we've, obviously been taking part in the district modules, Velda, Valbrun, and so that's been a big focus for us. But we've also done some book studies through the years. So one of the ones that we've done in the past has been the culturally responsive teaching and the brain, which is Zaretta Hammond. Another way that we've kind of brought this to our students has been through the purchasing of children's books that highlight race and culture. And one of the ways we do this is we do read alouds with our students, and then that leads us to dialogue about race and culture with our students. So that's been pretty effective. But this year, a focus has really been on just engaging with our families. It's been really difficult, obviously, these last couple of years not being in person in some ways. And so we've really focused on how can we best engage our families. And so we during one of our early out times, we actually did a home visit training with our entire staff. And this is typically just, with CFT, with our teachers, but we got the support from CFT to do this training with everyone. And we have a number of family engagement events planned. We just had one just last week. It was our Computer Science and Engineering Expo, and we had over 250 students and family members that participated in that, so it was very exciting for us. Our Teaching and Learning Committee, and you're going to hear some of the same things that you might have heard in the previous presentation, but one of our goals through this obviously has been on some of the strategic plan work, so like high yield strategies. You've probably heard of this related to using research-based high yield strategies. Well, for us, one of the things that we've done, Focus Schools has really been the engine that has run a lot of the things through the Teaching and Learning Committee. So critical thinking, that's one of the areas that we're looking at. But when we think about it, one thing that I really appreciate from Focus Schools is we're always talking about every student, every day, every class. And so what does that look like? Because critical thinking, it's easy to think of it in reading or in math, but what does that look like in different areas like music and PE? And so that's been something that we've been charged with. And one of the ways we've looked at that is just examining the questioning that we use with students. Like, are they low-level questions or are they higher-level questions that are going to stimulate some thinking with our students? So we've been developing some sentence stems or questioning stems to try to help generate a little bit more of that critical thinking. Another area that has been really important in this regard has also been our focus on the science of reading. And so we have also been doing the same book study that these guys have been doing, shifting the balance, lots of shifting going on. And that's been really key to help us. But I would also like to add that one of the things that's been really beneficial is the district teaching and learning department and moving forward with a curriculum adoption. So specifically, we've been piloting a curriculum that really does embrace the science of reading and really looks at different ways of teaching reading. And so I think that's been very eye-opening for a lot of our teachers. For me as an administrator, just seeing the different ways and different approaches for teaching reading. And we've been really impressed with some of the preliminary results that we've seen, particularly through our, pilot that we've been doing. So kind of excited about that. Hopefully we'll hear good news about the pilot we're actually using. So hopefully that'll be one of the winners there. Just putting a plug for it, CKLA. But okay, so culture and climate. One of the things that we have tried to look at as they're thinking about this. And I showed you some of the panorama data that I shared earlier. But one of the ways that we've looked at this is how do we address some of this? So one of the ways is through our school-wide SEL calendar, and Mrs. Schultz, who's right over there, she's helped to develop this with her committee. And we've also taught zones of regulations. And I'll show you a slide a little bit later about what that looks like. But it's very important in helping students identify where they are in the moment. The other thing that we've done too is PBIS, which, many schools do, but we've kind of adopted something called the house system. And the house system really, I don't want to make it sound like it's, if you think about Harry Potter and all the houses they have, it's kind of like that. And really, in a way, it's like breaking down the school into smaller units to try to create a community across grade levels. So you have your classroom communities, but you can also have your communities across the grade levels. And that will have students will be assigned to those houses, but also teachers. And the students will remain with those houses as they go through the school. So this is the zones of regulation here. And so a big part of this is identifying which zone you're in. Okay, so like when I started this presentation, I was probably in the red zone, but I'm getting close to the end, so I'm getting in the yellow, going to the green now, almost there, until the questions start coming, and then I'll be in the red zone. But we use not only identifying these strategies, but thinking of ways to help transition. So if I start doing some rainbow breaths up here, you'll know that I'm trying to get myself regulated. But those are different ways that we teach our kids to identify where they're at, and also to help transition to, the green zone. And it recognizing where you're at. This is our houses, as I mentioned before. And so we are all part of a different house. A shout out to Team Allegiant, because that's my house. I was gonna wear my Team Allegiant sneakers tonight, but on advice from my wife, I didn't. They're a little bit outlandish, and they probably wouldn't match with my suit. So also a shout out to Team Allegiant, because we won the gold last week in our Winter Olympics. So yes, thank you. But one of the things that we try to do with our houses is we have monthly meetings with all of our students, and so they kind of meet in different houses. And we really try to use that to focus on different character things. So for example, this past month we were kind of working on teamwork. In past months we've worked on perseverance, kindness, and then of course community building. So each meeting has a different focus. And as students are going through the month, the day, they can earn points for their house, and then we have a house champion that's recognized at the end of the quarter. So that's kind of exciting for our students, and it's also a great way to sort of build community across the building. And then finally, I did want to share technology committee, and again, there's actually Tabitha Dunn right there leading this is from last week. But one thing that I did want to say about technology, it's obviously an important part of our engagement with the community, but it's a very important part of Kenwood. It's been there since before I was there. It's really part of it, the DNA of Kenwood. And one of the things that we really focus on is really trying to teach kids how to code, and also beyond coding, computational thinking. And so that's carrying it kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. One of the things that we really appreciate the support that we get from the district is having a coach that supports computational thinking. So Ms. Dunn is our coach, works with our teachers on teaching coding, which is very, very important. So last week we had our Family CSCT Engineering Expo. That's in part because of our collaboration with the University of Illinois and the Computer Science Department, and they've been an important part from day one of that. The other thing that we do teach is robotics. We have a robotics club. They meet during the day so that transportation is not an issue for our students, and it's kind of a rotating club. So Mrs. Dunn Mr. Nillis, they're part of that, and then you can see the names of our other members of our team there. And then finally, I just kind of want to end it with a couple of examples of different ways that we've engaged the community. So I know recently we were very excited because we were able to start up again with we have a trip that we do with our fifth graders. So those are all of our fifth graders. And Miss Kuchenbrod, who's our music teacher, does an amazing job. She wrote several grants to get our students up to Chicago, not only to the Field Museum, which you see there, but a bigger part of that is to go to Broadway, Chicago. And we saw The Lion King, which was pretty amazing. And we did that a few years before COVID, but this is our first year coming back from this. So we're pretty excited about that. And then the other picture that you see to the right there, the one at the top is a very special one because that is actually our first assembly that we had coming back. And we have an after-school choir led by Miss Kuchenbrod there, who's actually teaching choir right now. I think she's leading the youth choir. So she is doing that. We have students in 3rd through 5th grade who participate in that choir every Wednesday after school. And that's the many things happening at Kenwood.
Questions, comments, Ms. Vasquez?
Thank you, Mr. Nadrozny. That was wonderful. I have a question about the houses.
Yeah.
Amazing. I wish you had your shoes on. I'd like to know about the sorting. You're going to show my colors there. You said that it's 1st through 5th grade. Do they stay in their house all?
They do,
And do
yeah.
you have to follow your siblings? Because I'm wondering about things
Yeah,
like that.
we do have siblings following their houses. In some cases, it kind of varies. But we have a sorting wheel that we use. It's kind of it used to be a
Have that data
physical
to my
sorting
calendar
wheel,
as
but
well.
it just took forever. So, yeah. But it's usually just our new kindergarten kids who come in, and then, going into 1st grade. And then, of course, our staff members. So we kind of are committed to our houses. I have a Allegiant T-shirt. I didn't wear that tonight, though. I was thinking about it, but
If you haven't done that this year for this kindergartners, I think we'd all like to know. I think we'd all like to come watch that happen.
okay, yeah.
Can we be
For sure.
sorted? Board members?
Okay.
In a house, absolutely, all day.
Picking up a theme, they want swag and be able to buy the swag and be in the house.
I
I'm
just want to
in.
belong. I just want to belong.
I like
wanna be
it.
Part of one of the family. I mean, it's one family, it's 9 houses. I love that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody else? And I think you should have worn your T-shirt and the tennis
Okay.
shoes. You got my
Thank you.
vote for that.
I appreciate that.
So, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Yes.
I do have a question about the houses. So this is fascinating. So like one classroom it's not one house. Like you could have kids within a first grade
that's
classroom
exactly
that are
right,
part
yeah.
of all 9 houses.
Yeah.
I mean, like all
Yeah,
9 houses are
each-
represented
each
in each
house,
classroom.
yeah.
So like there are opportunities where you leave your classroom and you join the rest of your house
Yes.
to like have
Yes.
family meetings or what.
Exactly. Yeah. So the initial meetings are usually a little, just the transition to those houses can be a little chaotic, but we've kind of worked through that transitions. We've got staff members in the hallway to try to help direct where they might be going. But yeah, we have different house meetings, and they're led by, the different staff members. So
That's really cool.
yeah, thanks.
Thank you. So my original question, I guess, is about the zones of regulation.
Yeah.
So how is this, I think it's brilliant. How is it incorporated, like, what I'm imagining is if there's a student who's having, a rough moment, do they have the power to raise their hand and be like, I'm in a red place right now, can I do something about it? Like, can I go sit in the back of the room or sit in the hallway for a few minutes to get to yellow or something like that?
Yeah, we intentionally try to have spaces in classrooms for students to be able to do that. They don't necessarily have to self-identify, that they're in the red zone, but they can, take a break. I mean, we teachers will work with students to sort of work that out, but we usually will have a space set aside for them.
Sure. I guess my bigger, like what I was trying to understand is, since students learn about these zones of regulation, like, are they encouraged to, like, on their own say, like, okay, I'm not in a good place and I am empowered to be able to do what I need to do so that I can get to a better place, and that it sounds like that's
Yeah,
what's
that's exactly
encouraged.
right. Yeah, we try to encourage that regulation of their.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
That's awesome. Any other
I
questions?
was going to add real quick too that Trevor didn't say, and you should. So before the tornadoes came, we were doing walkthroughs as we do, and in kindergarten, watching computational thinking. I happened to see when the teacher was in there teaching the coding with the kids. So it is pervasive, right? It goes across the whole building often, and I think thankfully that connection with the U of I got re-upped again recently, which has been a really great thing that we've gotten going. So nice job again. Nice job to both of you.
The zones of regulation remind me of PECs. The picture exchange communication system, how you've laid this out. She's shaking her head. That's what it reminds me of, is the give and take of how to self-regulate. I love this. It's a good way to do it. Ms. Shannon?
I just don't want to let you go before I'll ask Amy's question. If you weren't going to do it, how can we support you in your work?
Work on our particular areas of focus, because each school is different, obviously, comprehension, we're doing critical thinking. We've really, I mean, that time that we've had for the professional development, I mean, honestly, I will tell you, I was a little worried about like what that was going to look like for me, trying to come up with like 3 hours of professional development. But Focus Schools has been so helpful. It's to the point where it's like, I don't know if I have enough of this, like, because we have so much work to do, but we're very excited and encouraged by what we're seeing from it. So I think just continuing to be able to do our thing, but again, like working with within that framework, that's been really helpful for us. But also I'll think about other things to share.
That's great.
I want to reserve the right to add some things.
You should absolutely do
Yeah.
that.
I have one comment. Dr. Nadrozny, we met all the way back at I think,
Yes.
the Gifted Task
Yes.
Force work, and you have
long
been
time ago.
around for quite a while. And so
Yeah.
I'm pleased when maybe parents and families didn't get their absolute first choice. Every time that I hear that they go visit Kenwood, the staff, the teachers, meeting you, makes them feel at home. And so thank you for being there, continuing to be
Good.
there, and the work that you all are doing at Kenwood. I think that it is definitely a bright spot in our community.
Thank you so
One
much.
thing that I think, just to echo what you're saying about focus schools, and something that I keep hearing from many of the presenters, is that I hope parents are listening, because oftentimes it is the tour that help families decide where they should go. But everyone has come together in each of these presentations with the focus school statement. And so I hope parents are listening to hear how each of them differ, maybe are similar, but also for teachers and hiring and thinking about a spot where they can fit in. I think that this has definitely brought a different lens to our schools, to our community. And I'm grateful to continue to hear how each of you have gotten to where you have in your statements. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. That was wonderful. Wonderful.
And before you go to both schools, you make me so proud. I'm sitting here beaming and thinking, wow, what amazing presentations. And if I had children still young enough to go, it would be difficult for me to choose. And so that's the whole idea. We need our community to know that we have amazing schools across our whole city, and that you're doing great work. And I love the fact that you're talking about the focus work, and you're talking about the bounded autonomy, because there is bounded autonomy, but also that you have data-driven decisions based upon what your building needs, because we're not cookie cutters. So you are looking at your data to determine comprehension, looking at your data to determine critical thinking, and it's amazing and how you are weaving equity into everything, because it should not be a set aside. It is who we are, it's what we do. It should be woven into the very fabric of Unit 4, and you all have done an amazing job. And so I just cannot say how proud I am of you all, and to say thank you. And to my Kenwood family, the first family I stepped foot in when I did the presentation to you all last year. I see you. I love you. You all are amazing. Keep up the great work. I'll be back soon now that we're getting things calmed down again. So I can't wait to see the houses and all the great things you all have going on. And so thank you so much. And to all of my cabinet team for all your hard work, for guiding them and leading them and being there for them. And to the board, thank you for trusting us to do the work. We know what we need to do. We are professionals. I'm looking at amazing professionals who know what to do when given the right tools and the resources and the time. So thank you. Thank you.